Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I am tired as shit. That 10 o'clock start absolutely crushed me, but here I am. I'm pounding through it. I'm grinding through it, just like the Sixers did in Sacramento. And you saw early on in this game, in the first quarter, how bad this defense really is. This defense, I'm saying, the Kings defense. You thought the Brooklyn Nets were bad? They're 27th in the league. You have the Sacramento Kings at 30th. They don't know how to defend a lick. They're not willing to defend a lick. And that's why you saw the Sixers score 42 points in the first quarter. And it was almost painful because it wasn't entertaining. I was almost pissed off that I was thinking to myself, am I really going to sit through this game? Am I really going to watch a glorified LA Fitness game all the way until 1:30 in the morning and put myself through this black eye of tiredness? That's not what they call. What do they call it when baggy eyes? The baggy eyes. All for what? A glorified LA Fitness game? Now, it did get down to the wire, and the second quarter was absolutely putrid by the Sixers for as good as they were offensively, whether it was Ben Simmons being aggressive or anybody else chiming in. They were embarrassing defensively in the second quarter. De'Aaron Fox, whatever he wanted to do. Buddy Hield finished the first half with about 5 threes. They also had Halliburton launching from the distance. Whenever he wanted to make an unorthodox-looking shot, he would be able to execute bang with ease. The dribble penetration was too easy. The transition D was almost as if they didn't even feel like getting back on the defensive side of the floor. But I will give them credit when credit is due. In the fourth quarter, down the stretch, they made the plays they needed to make. Now, the sequence is funny because it all started with the Kings getting 8,000 offensive rebounds in a row on one possession. You get a kick out for 3, brick. On the other end, Tobias Harris drills a 3. You had Thybulle get a big block, which resulted in Shake Milton getting a 3. And then Tobias and Embiid, they pitched in as well. But that sequence of Tobias 3, Matisse Thybulle block, Shake Milton 3, that sort of allowed this Sixers team down that stretch to say, all right, this is ours. All right, let's finish the job. And Embiid, he was frustrating early. For me personally, I wasn't entertained watching him play. He didn't look like he wanted to go out there and play basketball tonight at times. He did grab 17 rebounds, which is impressive when maybe you don't have it fully there and your motor's not 100% there. To grab 17 rebounds, all right, that's definitely showing me that you're out there competing. But it's okay to say that he was underwhelming too. It didn't look like he wanted to establish his game. And I don't know if he was a little bit banged up. He ended up going into the tunnel. You saw him grimacing at times, and he was at the free throw line leaning over. And I think that really stood out to me because today on the Sports Bash, we had on Yaron Weitzman, and he wrote the book Tanking to the Top. Fantastic read. But he also had this great article up on Joel Embiid and the difference in his game this season and talking about his conditioning. And something that was really stressed to Joel Embiid was posture. The way that you really hold your body accountable. And the posture is definitely playing a role in how he's able to run up and down the floor for so many miles, for so many minutes. I remember a couple years ago, you looked at how many miles Joel Embiid ran throughout the season, and you would have fainted thinking of a 7-foot guy doing that all the time on the hardwood. But when he was leaned over, when he was kind of hanging out on his knees, it sparked that conversation that we had on the show. And I was like, huh. But I also saw, I think it was Tobias Harris, I could be wrong, but it was a teammate almost going right up to him and fixing his chest as if he, kind of said, hey, emphasized, get up. And I like the fact that it's not Joel Embiid. Obviously, it's Joel Embiid we're talking about here. Somebody else stepped up as the leader and did it to Joel Embiid. We all know Joel Embiid is the leader, but that was a moment that stood out to me like, hey, hold on a second. There's somebody else holding Joel Embiid accountable. The guy who's supposed to be the go-to guy. the guy that's supposed to be the, hey, give me the damn ball type of guy in Joel Embiid, there's somebody else out on the floor saying, hey, you got to make sure, get up. Don't look that way. At least that's how I interpreted that entire situation that I saw. I like the fact, though, that even though they struggled and even though they really had to power through, they were able to do it. And there were so many different moments for different players. Seth Curry came out guns a-blazing. He was knocking down the shots. Danny Green, not his night. And I thought the reaction to that was hysterical because there is now a group of people after tonight's game that want to get rid of Danny Green. Although, over the last handful of games, Danny Green was backpacking Seth Curry. For the 10 millionth time, it's a package deal. Seth is going to go, and he's going to deliver, and Danny Green might have a quiet night. Or maybe both just have okay nights. Or maybe Danny Green carries the weight, and Seth Curry is quiet. Everyone was freaking out that, oh, we got to get Seth back. We got to get Seth back. Seth will be fine. I guarantee it. This is called being a shooter in the NBA. You have really great nights where the ball is flying right through the hoop and you feel like you can knock them down blindfolded. And then there's times where you can't buy a bucket. You're too long. You're too short. You miss a layup. Easy buckets. Ones that you constantly drill 25 times in a row. You're bricking. You're hitting the backboard. Some nights that happens. I do admit, though, that Seth Curry's explosive nights, they're louder than Danny Green's. When Seth Curry really gets going and he's flying around out there and he's coming off a dribble handoff and he's in rhythm and he's pulling up like smooth, that Seth Curry smooth stroke, when he does that, it's definitely making more noise than when Danny Green has one of his 4-for-4 nights from three or something of that caliber. But let's not knock Danny Green for this tough one. Seth Curry has been brutal over the last handful, and guess what? Danny Green was able to knock down shots in key moments. So it is what it is. Some nights he's going to be there, some nights he's not going to be there. But I saw the frustration out of fans, and they want to trade Danny Green now, and they need to upgrade that position. For Danny Green to be able to space the floor like he does and give you what he does defensively, you can't act as if that's not important. It's hard to find spacers that can still bring you effort defensively and do it at a good job. You had Danny Green on James Harden for the first half of that Brooklyn Nets game. Would that be the same if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were out there? I don't know what the matchups would have been. Who knows? I would have loved to seen Ben Simmons on Kevin Durant, though. That would have been so much damn fun. And you saw Ben Simmons dominate James Harden in the second half where he was swarmed completely. But just the fact that you can throw Danny Green on James Harden and it's not going to be the most abysmal matchup and he can hang up by the perimeter and affect how the opposing squad has to defend you. Come on, that's a serious thing here. We talked about it how many times with J.J. Redick in the years past where, lethal shooter destroys you, though. Half-court set destroys you. I feel that way about Furkan. And you might even feel that way about Seth Curry when the playoffs come around. Because guess what? If Kyrie Irving is that one-on-one matchup with Seth Curry, well, it might be bad. It might be a tough one. But only time will tell how that all plays out. I thought it was crazy, though. Really? We're taking shots at Danny Green? I guess my problem there, too, is don't you know who Danny Green is at this point? Shouldn't you properly understand who Danny is? Danny Green is this veteran guy that you got in a trade to move on from Al Horford, and he has a year left on his deal. He's got tremendous value in terms of locker room presence and pedigree of winning championships. And he logs his serious minutes and gives you what you need on both sides. I don't know what you're demanding more out of him. I think it's a little outrageous, I'll be honest with you. How about Corky Do? For all you Furkan Korkmaz guys, for those dunks. And that's exactly what I was talking about when I said they play no defense. They are trash defensively. It's so hard to watch. And I was going to tweet this out, but I didn't. I kind of held back a bit. If you watch that game with the eyes of, okay, let's just watch the defense. Let's watch what the Kings do. Let's see how they operate on the defensive side of the floor. If you truly had your binoculars locked and loaded just on that, and then I told you, watch this and then think about playoff basketball. And I don't think that that's a ridiculous thing to do. Watch that and then think about playoff basketball. And let me know how you can find serious takeaways through certain moments of that game. I'm not saying the whole thing. I thought what was valuable was down the stretch. They are a different team this season down the stretch. Guys are making buckets. Tobias Harris struggled. All right, there's no doubt about it. It wasn't as if he was a killer all night long. He wasn't himself. But fourth quarter, Tobias Harris, 12 points, 6 rebounds. He came alive. He was determined. All right, fellas, let's close this out, can we? This is the first game of the swing. Brodes is watching. He's tired. Let's close this one out. Let's do it for Brodes. And what do you know? The big three that he had in the corner started everything. That was the energy boost. That was what the team really needed. That was the spark plug shot that then allowed Matisse Thybulle to execute defensively. Allowed Shake Milton to feel that, all right, fellas, here we go. Tobias started it. Matisse helped out. Let me add to the mix. Let me do my job. Closing out the fourth quarter no matter what. No matter who they were up against, because there's definitely a change in defense in the fourth quarter. That's natural. That's the NBA. First quarter, you're just getting into rhythm. You're running up and down. No defense transition-wise. And then the game gets tighter. Things intensify. So that does matter to me. But first, second quarter, ew. Even from the Sixers standpoint, the dribble penetration made me sick. Sick to my stomach. Nonchalantly, here they go. Whoop. Here they go again. Whoop. Oh, what's that? Whoop. Dribble penetration. Non-stop. The transition dig. Yeah, I don't feel like it. But when they did, well, guess what? They clocked in, they clocked out, and they really did take a big step. They took a big leap, and they shut down a team that isn't very good. I know everyone runs to the record. Well, bros, they actually are good. Look how many wins they have. They're not as bad as what you say they are. They're bad. Everyone rips and destroys the Brooklyn Nets for their defense, right? And they deserved to get crucified. If you're going to rip the Nets defense, please recognize that statistically, this team is worse. Their defensive efficiency is garbage. The worst in the entire league. And you're going to see a Portland team that has similar numbers. I knew that they were bad, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't watch much Sacramento Kings on my off time. So going into this matchup, it's clearly highlighted on my things to watch because that's what I like to do. When they go up against a team, all right, let's do a little research. Let's dive into it. How are the Kings doing? How are they doing in their last 5, in their last 10? How are their best players playing? I like to dive into it and get a sense of what's happening in Kings world. So I knew it was something that was going to benefit a Ben Simmons, an aggressive Ben Simmons, and that's definitely what you got in the first quarter. Now that died out a bit, and I'm not shocked that it did. He seems to say, I want to go downhill when I want to go downhill, and then other times I'll just be more of the normal Ben Simmons, which is definitely irritating, but I guess at this point, similar to how I laid out with Danny Green, you should already know what he is. With Ben Simmons, it's sort of the same philosophy. I should already know what Ben Simmons is, but the difference is Danny Green's ceiling isn't this guy can be the difference in you winning a championship or not. Ben Simmons, his ceiling is superstar. Danny Green is I'm on the last couple years here of my NBA career. So there is a difference. I should be in the mindset that I am when it comes to Ben Simmons. I'm not outrageous. I'm not really wild to feel the way that I do about this individual. It's very fair to criticize him and to say, well, guess what? Against this team, you probably should have even did more. Yeah, you heard me. Yeah, you heard me. You heard me. This is what happens, by the way, when It's almost 2 a.m. at this point. Damn. Seth Curry, I brought him up, but he did finish with 22. That was a smooth and confident Seth Curry. It really was. And it was nice to see because he really, truly hasn't found himself except for a couple games after the COVID. There was some sloppiness involved after the first couple of games. And this was the first moment where you were shaking your head when he keeps hitting them and he keeps drilling them. And he was a big reason why you were even involved after that second quarter. I saw the Kings run away a bit, and I got irritated to another level. I really did. I was boiling inside. This Kings team. Now, De'Aaron Fox, you could see the flash in this kid's game. Is there anybody faster? How he goes from one side of the court to the other, coast to coast with ease, and he glides in the air as he's going to the basket. It's a beautiful thing to watch, is it not? I actually like when he was rocking the longer hair. It throws me off a bit to see him with the shorter hair. I like the longer hair. I can see when he's dribbling and he's flying, the hair is kind of blowing in the wind. As you can see with what I'm rocking tonight, it's all about letting the lettuce fly a bit. You need to have some locks, some luscious lettuce. It's a difference maker and swag out there. I think De'Aaron Fox looks like an even smoother player when he's dribbling the ball and he's so electric and the energy is all left out on the floor when he had the luscious locks going. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm putting down here. I didn't like the short hair version of De'Aaron Fox. For whatever that means. But he is an exciting player to watch, no? He can work on the three-point shooting. I think he finished 3 of 10 tonight. Buddy Hield, by the way, 6 of 16 from 3. Just ripping through 16 three-pointers. What's the situation with him, too? Remember, he was unhappy there, and then obviously the reports of, hey, maybe the Philadelphia 76ers would be a good spot for him. And then you had the Instagram people going nuts because they were seeing what he was commenting on other people's Sixer stuff, or he was liking some Sixers post that had him photoshopped in a jersey, something of that nature, and that got people all excited. He was popping them whenever he wanted to. Hey, here we go. Why not? It's a 1-on-4, bang, bang, or more like, ooh, I was a little short, or ooh, I was a little long. I want to hear from the people, though. That's what I want to do. I want to hear from the people. Anytime Hotline calls, I was curious how many people would chime in this late at night, or I guess you can say this early in the morning. The answer is a lot. I guess I'm not really surprised, but it's nice to know that people are waiting until the very end of the game before they go to bed. And hey, before they go to bed, let me call Brodes up so I can make the pod. And if you want to make the pod, the phone number is 856-442-9805 for future podcasts, of course. And before we get to the Anytime Hotline, this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they are home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely by offering flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It is all down below in the description. All right, let me grab my headphones here. I wish I had a fat glass of water. Sadly, I don't. And I am devastated. All right, here we go. No?
Hey, Brodes. It's Ethan calling from Wayne, Pennsylvania. Not the best Sixers win tonight, but I mean, with a season like this, I mean, in any season, you're going to have bad performances and still get the victory, and that's exactly what the Sixers did. Joel didn't really have his best game, but it was enough to get it done. Tobias Harris came in super clutch, and speaking of clutch, Matisse Thybulle's defense. Oh my God, he locked the shit out of De'Aaron Fox in that fourth quarter. My God. We played like subpar, I would say. Seth Curry, oh my God, he shot the lights out in that the early parts of the game. That was impressive. He really didn't take that many shots later in the game, but we still got it done, which is really all that matters.
He was a huge part for you to even be in reach. If he wasn't so red hot, who knows? That could have been a game where the Kings take it away and then you throw out the end of the bench late in the third quarter because it was that much of a blowout. So while maybe later he wasn't as active and he wasn't that killer that he was earlier, but let's not act as if those moments didn't matter because that all kind of led up to where you were to start that second half. Without him, that first half could have been way uglier. You could have been down double digits, heavy double digits, but instead, you were hanging around, you were creeping around, you were just staying enough involved for you to know, well, if you started locking down defensively in the second half, you were eventually going to pull away. That was the silver lining at the half. All right, you guys did not care defensively. If you clean that up, if you get to who you are as a team, you'll be all right. Just clamp down. Put the clamps down on everyone. And as you kind of alluded to, there's 3 things I wrote down during that phone call. And I'll talk about locking down first. Matisse Thybulle. And I just praised the Aaron Fox and how much fun he is to watch. You're right. Matisse Thybulle was sensational on him. And everyone looks at these moments and they question. And I think it's fair, right? They question, what does this mean for Matisse Thybulle? And I think that is an excellent question. I do wonder, though, because people want more. When you get that type of performance on a player, oh, why don't you start him? Or why don't you give him more minutes? Or why don't you just throw him on the opponent's best player all night long? And I think with Matisse, I think he's great in spurts. I think he's great in these stretches of handful of minutes and in specific moments. If you give someone like Matisse right now 30 minutes a game, 32 minutes a game, it kills your team on the offensive side. You can't do that. Who would then leave the floor that you're now entering Matisse Thybulle? Are there moments where you do something like that? Yeah, absolutely. Every game and every certain moment kind of has its own personality, if you will. For example, when Doc Rivers went to the 2-3 zone with Matisse and Ben Simmons, that was unique. That was a spot for it. That's a time where you pick and choose to go with a different mentality. So will there ever be a time where Matisse Thybulle goes out there and gives you more than he normally does off the bench because on that given night, that might have been the best thing that you could have done? Sure. I don't know if that's sustainable. I think it really does crush you on the offensive side because you're so limited in Ben Simmons not shooting the best. And we talk about spacing with this team. Will it work with Ben because of the way Joel is playing, because of Seth and Danny Green, and because of Tobias Harris? Will you be able to slide through without Ben shooting because of everybody around them and their abilities? If you now have Matisse Thybulle in there more and in there longer, does that change how teams are going to have to defend you? I think these are all fair questions. I love Matisse Thybulle, and I think he is a game changer in his minimum minutes. I think he finished with around 22 minutes of play. That is a good number for Matisse Thybulle. In that area, if you're going to slap him on a guy and say, God damn it, you better fuck him up defensively, he can do that, and that limited role is almost perfect, and it's very effective. I think if he logged more minutes, though, you would see the deficiencies. You got to find that happy medium. You got to find that perfect line for Matisse Thybulle. You mentioned Tobias Harris being clutch at the end. This is a common theme for the guy, man. It really is. This Tobias Harris, at this point, he's done it consistently enough this season for me to feel that this is who Tobias Harris is going to be. It wasn't the prettiest all game long, but when you really needed help, and you can't rely on Joel Embiid every single night. You just can't. I know you might want to in theory. There's going to be nights where Embiid isn't going to have his full-on game, and he's not going to be able to push the throttle fully down. Tonight, he didn't get to do that, so someone would have to step up. And I know that there were key plays and key people all around late. It wasn't just Tobias Harris, but he was the leader of the pack, and he has been the leader of the pack when Joel Embiid wasn't, or even when Joel Embiid was, but he needed that little bit of Robin to finish the job off, just to put the icing on the cake. Tobias Harris has been there consistently, and we've been talking about Joel Embiid. Lackadaisical is a good word to describe Joel Embiid's night. He didn't seem mentally in it, and I know everyone's talking about his son and how that really impacted his vision and impacted his mentality. There's no doubt about it that is the case. You could tell when Mark Zumoff asked him about his child the other day, that put a big smile on his face and the brightness of life came to Joel Embiid's face. I wonder if something about being on the road, being on the West Coast, being in California where the lockdowns are a little bit different than they are here on the East Coast in Philadelphia. I wonder if it put it in perspective for him of, I'm going away from home in this environment. He wasn't a fan of the bubble. He was very vocal about that, didn't really love it, didn't think that they should be playing, but he wanted to go out there. And then we saw the sweep occur when the entire team clearly wasn't fully there and fully aware of what they were doing when they were out there on the floor because they didn't buy in to the bubble lifestyle like a bunch of the other teams did. And even Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers alluded to that before this season began. I don't know. It just seemed like he was out of it. Maybe his body clock is still trying to get figured out. Maybe he's on the same body clock as me. It's ready for bed. He didn't look like he was as determined as we've seen to this point.
What's going on, bro? It just goes to show how great Joel Embiid has been this year. The fact that 25 points and 17 rebounds seems almost like a down game for him. I mean, when you really think about it like that, it's crazy. I thought the defense at the start of this game was one of the worst efforts we've had all year. And then the second half, and especially the fourth quarter, really turned it on. I thought the defense stepped up down the stretch. I thought Matisse Thybulle, I liked that Doc Rivers had him on the court down the stretch. And, yeah, I mean, it's normally, we don't usually get games that aren't ugly. So I'll take this win. It wasn't the cleanest game, but Tuesday night, 10 p.m. local time here, I will definitely take this win.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that you look down at the stat sheet after a Joel Embiid performance when you didn't think maybe it was his strongest and you go, whoa, okay, well, he still had X and X. He still had 20 plus and 17. The other night, he had 33. He had 33 damn points, and I remember thinking, this is not really a Joel Embiid kind of night. 33 points. Now, he popped 7 threes, and he had 6 really early on in the game, which was so out of character. So I think because we aren't used to seeing him shoot that way anymore, that threw us off. That put us in a weird mess upstairs. Joel Embiid, though, he still grinded through it. When he felt like turning it on, he turned it on. And you could tell, hey, let me go to the free throw line. Let me go to the charity stripe. Let me go up against Rashawn Holmes. How about Hassan Whiteside? You know that he is not good at free throws. There was a free throw where he lined up and he was completely left of the basket and he hit nothing. He hit nothing at all. Nothing. It hit the back of the backboard and bounced right back to him. And he did a solid old like Al Horford clap. Damn. Got ready for the next shot. What do you mean, damn? Ben Simmons looks better than you. When Ben Simmons looks better than you at the charity stripe, that's a bad sign. You got to get into the gym. You got to work on that.
The Sixers had absolutely no business winning that game. But they stepped up, and I got to give them credit. Tobias Harris disappeared for the first 3 quarters, but he hit some big-time shots in the fourth, and he stepped up big time. Same with Shake Milton, though. That injury was a little bit worrisome. Going to be interesting to see how he plays. Joel Embiid, I can deal with one bad game from him because of how dumb he's been all season. And as for Ben Simmons, do better.
Just the do better for Ben. Yeah, Shake Milton, we'll see. The Shake Milton experience for me has been so up and down. So we'll see how everything continues to go for Shake Milton as we move forward here. But the Shake Milton experience, I really can't put my finger on it. I really can't get a taste of how I feel yet, which is weird because we are a decent amount in the season to this point. And I mentioned the 3 that he had, but I don't know. I don't know about Shake Milton, and I wonder if I'm the only one that has this feeling or not. So comment down below in the comment section. I would really love to hear your thoughts on that as well. But we'll see how Shake moves forward with everything for sure. You said the Sixers had no business winning this game, and I would agree with you. But I also feel that the Kings had no business winning this game either. So someone had to win at the end of the day, and the starting five is still undefeated when you look at this regular season. So that's very strong from that, right? I mean, this team has not lost when their five starters have been on the floor rocking and rolling from tip-off. So that is definitely a great sign that even if it's not their best night and, you got to go on the road and you got to win a game, you can still do it. You can still do it even if you're not the cleanest as an offense, even if you're not the cleanest as a defense. I don't know if the Kings deserve to win either, though. It was like both teams played so sloppy, but late is what matters. And this team has this theme going where they close games out. Now, they might allow teams to make a pushback. Not so much tonight, but the Lakers and I think it was the Hornets when they were up 26 points in the third quarter. They allowed the Hornets to push back. There is this pushback that happens, but the Sixers still close it out after the pushback. So they are learning how to do it. It is something that happens over time. You need to experience losses. You have to experience blowing leads. You need to experience what it's like when that squad goes on that aggressive run against you. How do you emotionally handle it? How do you physically handle it? How do the timeouts come in play? How does the focus level change? You need to go through those ups and downs. You got to pull it out, and you got to lose a bunch of times. And eventually, you will then realize, okay, this is what I need to do to overcome these moments. And as a team, they are absolutely doing that. And everyone deserves a hat tip there. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Their next game is on Thursday, right? They play on Thursday. Another 10 o'clocker. Wait. What the hell? What day is it? Do they play the Kings? Am I going nuts here? I need to look at their schedule before we end this. Because from my knowledge, Sixers schedule. Yeah, they play Portland on Thursday. Okay. Wow, the Jazz coming up. That's right. That's what ends this trip. Jazz are playing red hot. You got the Suns 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. All right. Let's see how they finish this trip off. They're 1-0, and that's the most important thing. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.